right, and we are back. Happy Thanksgiving, Hummingbirds, and welcome back to another session. I feel like we could spend months, maybe even a full month, discussing, focusing our time solely on the whole concept of positive reinforcement and how it applies to our fitness. It's really about a mindset shift, as we really discussed on Monday, about switching from a punishment mindset of guilt, shame, berating ourselves, to focusing on what we can do, and flipping that switch to I can do this versus I have to do this. And as we progress these, especially with that mindset, we're going to feel those emotions becoming a lot more stronger. We'll get that wonderful feeling that a workout gives us. If our ultimate goal is talking to other people or having a better impact on the environment, that we're going to have that exhilaration of successfully and confidently and courageously talking about issues that are important to us. And we may feel a sense of pride when we resist food that just a few months ago we would cave into eating all the time. And these will eventually just become, those feelings will become reinforcing in and of themselves. So that exhilaration, the pride, the euphoria, we want that feeling again and again. And so we'll even seek out opportunities to share our experience, or to get that workout high that we experience, or just again the opportunities to show how strong we've gotten, and again physically and spiritually, mentally, emotionally. So the pride and euphoria of choosing healthy activities encouraging us and motivate us to continue on our path. So that's what we're looking for, is that ultimate euphoria, that great feeling when we accomplish our goals. And with that, this is what we actually call, there's a term for it, it's called intrinsic motivation, or what I would call intrinsic reinforcement. This refers to the rewards or motivations to continue our habits because it feels good, because we know it will feel good. It comes from within. So this kind of where intrinsic, it comes from within ourselves. The actual performing and completing the healthy behavior is reinforcing in itself. And this is actually a concept that's not too common in animal training, to be perfectly honest. I have to admit that it is completely possible that animals do behaviors because they know it's good for them. But as far as we can tell, as far as scientists can observe, we haven't been able to make that breakthrough to determine whether or not they can do it. So for this time being, the idea of doing something because we know that it will be good for us in the future, because we know we'll enjoy it in the future after the fact, is something that only humans at this time can experience and understand, which I think is kind of cool for me, because this means this is an area that I haven't ventured in very far. So again, learning more about this has been really eye-opening for me as well. So intrinsic motivation is something that will come naturally. It'll start occurring as we continue on our journey. But what I'm not unfamiliar with is when we're starting off on our journey, we're going to need that extra dose of what we call extrinsic motivation. So I would use that as what we would term positive reinforcement. This is reinforcement that comes from outside. And again, something I'm familiar with as an animal trainer. When the animal did the behavior correctly, we gave them something. Again, that extrinsic motivation, that extrinsic or positive reinforcement to continue that behavior. So again, examples would be like downloading a song to reward yourself for going to the gym. Or if you're keeping track of something, I have a calendar a friend gave me. You put a gold star on the calendar for every day that you fill in your journal, and when you get to X amount of days, you get to go to a spa or to get a massage or go on a shopping spree or something reinforcing. This is the idea of reinforcing our efforts with rewards and treats to increase the likelihood of us continuing that healthy habit and progressing towards an important goal. So there are some experts that feel that, again, that intrinsic is the only way to successfully find success in your fitness, and I do agree with them only to an extent of once you get there, once you get through the stages of developing a healthy habit. Then yes, intrinsic is way better than anything extrinsic, such as I have to because I know it's good for me. It's the feeling that you get later on. However, I do feel that extrinsic reinforcement, those treats, those rewards that we give ourselves, are important for establishing new behavior. Because when we're first starting out on that new journey, those wonderful feelings are not going to carry us over the initial unbearable and uncomfortable humps. There are 3 stages to establishing a new behavior, a new habit. First, it's unbearable, then it's uncomfortable, and finally, we become unstoppable. However, how long it takes to go through each stage completely varies. So some psychologists will say that it takes about 21 to 30 days to form a habit, but we're seeing now through science and through even animal training, and child psychologists are now seeing that that is not a valid number. It takes as long as it takes, basically. Some people could do that very fast. Some people can move from the unbearable stage to the uncomfortable stage in 10 days. But some people may be in the unbearable stage for 30 days. So again, it really all depends. And so this is why I feel positive reinforcement, that extrinsic motivation is important, because if you have to go weeks, 30 days before you are feeling and established in your new habit, that's a long time before receiving some kind of payout for your habits, for all your effort. So I really encourage using positive reinforcement, getting that outside reward to get us over those bumps. So again, especially in that first and even into that second stage. The first stage is almost vital to have some kind of reinforcement schedule. It's the unbearable stage, just when you're asking yourself, why am I doing this to myself? Positive reinforcement helps give you the reason to get up and go. If I finish this, if I make this effort, if I resist this temptation, then I get to X, Y, and Z. I get to binge watch Netflix. I get to take a nap when I get home, or I can take a bubble bath or play my video games. The need for reinforcement is pretty constant. I'm not gonna lie. I feel you need the extrinsic motivation to get you going, and this will help you gain momentum. And we're gonna go over behavior momentum in just a couple weeks, so bear with me. But that positive reinforcement is going to keep you going. The next stage of healthy habits is it's uncomfortable. And this is when you're feeling pretty good. For the most part, you're adhering to your protocols, but then there are these random events or days and moments or urges that come at you from out of nowhere, and they make you yearn for those old times. So a great example would be if you've established a healthy eating habit, a healthy eating lifestyle, and you're still kind of new, but you're feeling great about it. You love your food, you love your meal plans, everything's going great, and then Susie brings in donuts to the office. Curse you, Susie. I don't know, but it's that's the one. Let's say donuts were the one thing that you always used to love to partake in. So you can resist, and you know you can. I'm going to have the apple instead of the donut, but man, you really wish you could have one of those donuts. So this is when, again, it's uncomfortable. It's not feeling that great at this point. This is when it's helpful to have some extrinsic motivation, extrinsic positive reinforcement that you can use to reward yourself for sticking to your healthier habits, even in the face of temptation, or even when it was a little bit hard, even though it was uncomfortable. So again, that's where, again, those two stages are the most important part of using the extrinsic, using rewards, using reinforcements to say, yeah, we've got this, we can do this. This is fun. This is engaging, and I can't wait to do this because I get this kind of reinforcement at the end of it. The last stage of building healthy habits is when you are unstoppable. And at this point, you don't need reinforcement. Your habits and feeling good, the eating the salad instead of the pizza actually makes you feel better. Those things empower you to keep going, and you're on a streak, and absolutely no one can stop you. Donuts, sleep, cold weather, nothing is going to stand in your way. You are on that winning streak. You keep going. You have a lot of what we would call motivation in the bank. At this point, reinforcement comes mostly from within. We're going from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. But even in this stage, it doesn't hurt to reward your efforts every now and then by celebrating milestones or celebrating progress points. So again, even in this state, even when you are reinforced intrinsically, and you don't need that extrinsic motivation, extrinsic positive reinforcement can still help exceed those expectations and keep going. But when we're building these healthy habits, first it's going to be unbearable, and positive reinforcement definitely helps you get over that hump. Then it's going to be uncomfortable, and again, rewards are still going to help you keep going forward. But if you keep at it, soon you're going to be unstoppable, and that's the important aspect. So again, first we need to shift our mindset from punishment to positive reinforcement. This is a task unto itself, and we talked about it a lot last week. So work on that as long as you need to. Remember to think positively, shut off the negative self-talk. Just flip that switch from a punishing mentality to focusing on what went well, what to celebrate. And again, even like if you're still practicing your journal, which I hope you are, your journals will help you with this mindset too, because keep in mind there are two whole sections where we focus on positivity and things to celebrate, and only one section that is a neutral observation on what needs work. So there is no blaming, there's going to be no shaming or guilt. Practicing these exercises, or practicing a journal exercise each night, will make this mind shift easier, and even a little bit more natural. Once we got that in place, our next task is to start incorporating positive reinforcement into our healthy habits. I do have one small caveat, and this is going to be a little bit longer of a talk we'll be discussing. You'll notice in all my examples that I gave, not one of them involved food. So I am going to ask you that when you are creating your positive reinforcement, your rewards and your incentives, that you not use food as your reward. And this may sound weird because as an animal trainer, food is definitely used frequently in animal training. It's what trainers call a primary reinforcer. And it's not because it's the number one thing. It's because we don't have to teach an animal that food is reinforcing. We all know that food equals good. There is nothing to learn about that. But think about this again. We don't use food all the time. We may use it to associate associate a behavior or an activity with something positive. But food is not actually used all the time. People may watch a show, such as most commonly with dolphins, and they see the dolphins get fed for doing the jumps, and people get this inaccurate assumption that the dolphins only get fed when they perform well, and that's really not the case. Some animals like to have their tongue scratched. Some like to have a toy that they prefer over all the others. And it's by building a positive relationship with those animals, just like we were talking about all last week. That positive relationship with the animals helps them understand what other motivations that they may have in place of food. And that's what we're doing. We're building a positive relationship with ourselves so that we don't need food every single time. And I do use dolphins as my main example because I had a really great relationship with a dolphin. We'll call him Thor. When I worked with dolphins, this was the first dolphin I ever worked with. And when I was creating a relationship with him, I discovered he liked it when I karate chopped. So again, it's just he would lay out on his side even, and I would just karate chop his back up and back and forth, and he would hold still for hours. I mean, however long I sat there and gave him his dolphin massage, Thor would sit there and let me do it. So this was important because he was the head honcho. He was the dominant male in the pool. So that meant that he could breed any of the females whenever he wanted. None of the other male dolphins would bother him. So this was a great tool for me because he worked for me, not because I fed him, but because I was the one that gave him the dolphin massage. And the other thing about that is, I know that for sure, is because this was also a feeding, an interactive exhibit. So Thor could have gone to anywhere besides me and gotten a snack from one of the guests. But I don't feel like there's thought that maybe he liked me that much, but I don't really quite buy that line. I feel like he learned he could get the dolphin massage from me when he worked with me. He could get fed whenever he wanted to. He could go breeding whenever he wanted to. But when I stepped up to that pool, he's going to get something that he really enjoyed, which is even more reinforcing than food. So food is often used in training, but it is far from the only method to reinforce behavior. And so we come back to us. And I'm going to, again, put this out there. If I can get an 800-pound dominant dolphin who could have sex with anyone he wanted whenever he wanted to and eat whenever he wanted to work with me without feeding him, then surely we can find other ways to reinforce ourselves than with food. So why am I so adamant against food? I'm not against food, obviously. Food is good. My biggest concern is using food as reinforcement creates a really blurry gray line between reinforcement and deprivation. So we can start narrowing this border here. And deprivation is very much a punishment mindset. But when we use healthy food as reinforcement, it turns our habits into something we have to do in order to eat, which is not where we want to go with our habits. We want to be able to, we want them to be enjoyable. We want them to be something we cherish, not something we endure, or a chore that we trudge through to get to what we need. When we put that on the line, like I have to do this in order to eat, this leads to us doing the minimum so that we avoid the punishment of starving. Remember, food is a primary reinforcer. It's something we need in order to survive. So don't put that on the line in order to force you into progressing towards your big goal. If you want a burger after the gym, have a burger. I'm not telling you never to have foods that you crave. If you want the pizza or the ice cream, go ahead, have it. Just don't let that food, don't let the pizza or the ice cream or the burger be the reason that you went to the gym or be the reason that you're working towards a healthy habit. Consider what you're working towards. If you're looking for losing weight or again eating healthier, how is this activity helping? How is reinforcing that behavior with food helping you obtain that objective? And there's also again a sense about what your identity really is in this lifestyle. So what we're doing as hummingbirds and in fitness conservation, we're creating a brand new identity. We're doing what we can, little bit by little bit, becoming the best versions of ourselves. And as we work towards these goals, we become more of the identity surrounding that of what we want. So again, if you are tempted to have the food, think, if your goal is to eat healthy, don't think of yourself as I am eating healthy. Think of yourself as a healthy eater, and then decide which route would you be going. And again, would a healthy eater use a burger or pizza as a reinforcement for doing the healthy habit that they know will lead them to the desired outcome? So that's something again to consider while you're developing your schedule of reinforcement as well. And if we eat every time we move towards our goal, do something good for us, that is not acting in integrity with our desired outcome. So our true identity, which is this, again, shining exemplar to show people, why to eat healthy, to exercise, to help conserve and preserve the earth. That's your identity you want to shine through. And when we act out of that integrity, we're stuffing our true identity under a blanket. So I was mind mapping this whole idea with a friend earlier in the week, and I discovered another way to think about it is to pull back from this whole situation. And again, looking at it from your identity, but is having your junk or comfort food really going to satisfy your desire for a reward? Is there something more meaningful that would help motivate you further? So again, the idea of downloading a song after a great workout, that could be way more motivating than having a burger, because whenever you hear that song from now on, it's going to remind you of that awesome workout, and it's going to rev you up and get you motivated to keep going. You also can look at it from the point of view of again, pulling back and saying, okay, I want this burger now, but later this week we're planning on going to the movies, and I'm probably going to have popcorn, and I may even have some candy. So if you have the burger now, how are you going to feel about eating popcorn and or candy at the movie theaters with friends? So again, pulling back, looking at the whole picture. There's a Native American tradition they call it that place of the eagle, where they can fly high and see the entire picture below them. Do that with yourself. So if you're thinking, I'm going to just reinforce this behavior with comfort food, thinking how that will affect the rest of your week can also be helpful. And so some of the things that I've been mentioning, again, like downloading a song or getting a massage, people often just do or get or buy without a moment's notice. I want this new book. Those socks look cute. Or, that was a cool song. And so we just grab these. So what I'm actually asking you is just similar to last week. We're going to flip the switch that mindset, shift it from I'm going to use food as reinforcement to I'm going to use these things that I don't need in order to survive, but I use them as reinforcement. So This is going to be a great time. I'm going to resend the worksheet or the little questionnaire that I sent last time. This is a great time to look that one over. But hopefully with this mindset shift, don't say that too fast, with your mindset shift, this exercise of finding your reinforcement may be a lot easier. We're going to go into greater detail on Monday. That's December 2nd at 5:30. But if you are struggling with the exercise, if you are going through the worksheet and you're like, I have no idea what to do, by all means contact me. You can email me at pjbevan, B as in boy, EA, V as in Victor, EN, at earthconservant.com, or you can text or call me 407-404-4813, and I can help you out however possible. But yeah, we'll go well into detail, go over this aspect. Hopefully this is helping you, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Funny enough, we're talking about not overstuffing, not overfilling on Thanksgiving, but you can have a healthy, happy Thanksgiving and a wonderful week with friends, family, and I'll see you on Monday. Thanks.